David Miller had always thought of himself as a healthy man. He grew up in a small town in Ohio, worked hard, played baseball in college, and eventually built a life he was proud of. By the time he reached his late 40s, he was married to his high school sweetheart, Lisa, and they had two children. Life seemed steady, but one morning David woke up and noticed something different about himself, something that confused him more than it frightened him. For years, he had woken up energized, refreshed, and with what most men his age casually joked about morning wood. It was something he had taken for granted, never really questioning it. But lately, it had disappeared. He didn't think much of it the first few times. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe it was stress. But as the weeks turned into months, he noticed the absence more clearly, and a quiet worry began to build. David wasn't the kind of man who easily opened up about such things. He grew up in a generation where men didn't talk much about their health beyond aches and pains. But one night, as he sat at the dinner table with Lisa, he couldn't shake the thoughts swirling in his head. He pushed his food around on his plate until Lisa finally asked, "David, what's wrong? You've been quiet lately." He hesitated, then sighed. "I don't know, Lisa. It's just, I don't feel like myself lately. Something's off." Lisa studied him carefully. "Is it work? The kids? Or is it your health?" The word health stuck with him. Maybe it was his health. He hadn't been to the doctor in over 2 years. He had gained some weight, his energy levels weren't what they used to be, and now this. That night, lying in bed, David decided it was time to figure out what was going on. The first step, facing the truth. The following week, David scheduled an appointment with his family doctor, Dr. Harris. Sitting in the exam room felt strange, like admitting something he wasn't ready to. But Dr. Harris had known David for years, and his calm demeanor made it easier. "So, David," Dr. Harris began, "what brings you in today?" David rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. "Doc, this might sound odd, but I've noticed I don't get morning wood anymore. It's been months. I know it sounds silly, but it worries me. Is this normal?" Dr. Harris smiled reassuringly. "David, it's not silly at all. In fact, it's a very common concern. Morning erections, or nocturnal erections as we call them medically, are actually a good indicator of overall health. When they start to disappear, it can mean several things, most of which are connected to aging, lifestyle, and general wellness. Let's talk about it." David leaned forward, listening intently. "First of all," Dr. Harris explained, "as men age, testosterone levels naturally decline. That's one reason why morning erections may become less frequent. But it's not the only factor. Stress, poor sleep, lack of exercise, weight gain, or even underlying conditions like high blood pressure or diabetes can contribute. It's your body's way of saying, 'Hey, pay attention to me.'" The words hit David hard. He realized that he had been ignoring his health for a while. His long work hours, late-night snacking, and constant stress had taken a toll. The journey to understanding. When David got home, he shared the conversation with Lisa. She listened patiently, then reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "David, I think this is your body telling you it's time to slow down and take care of yourself. You've always been there for us. Maybe now it's time to be there for you." Her words gave him comfort, but also determination. He knew he needed to make changes. The next few weeks became a journey of self-discovery. David started reading articles, listening to podcasts, and even joining an online forum where men openly discussed similar experiences. To his surprise, he wasn't alone. Thousands of men his age were asking the same questions. Why is this happening? Is it normal? Can it be fixed? He learned that morning wood was not just about intimacy, it was about circulation, hormones, mental health, and overall well-being. The more he read, the more he realized this was a wake-up call. Small steps toward change. David decided to make gradual changes. He began by walking every morning before work. At first, it was just 20 minutes around the block, but soon he started jogging lightly. The fresh air, the sound of birds, and the rhythm of his steps gave him a sense of renewal. He also cut back on fast food and late-night snacks, replacing them with healthier meals that Lisa helped prepare. She enjoyed the changes too, experimenting with new recipes filled with vegetables, lean proteins, and whole grains. One night, Lisa teased him. Who would have thought you'd actually enjoy quinoa? David chuckled. Trust me, I never saw this coming either. They laughed together, and David realized how much her support meant. Facing the deeper issues. But lifestyle changes weren't the only piece of the puzzle. Stress was still gnawing at him. Work deadlines, bills, and the responsibilities of being a father weighed heavily. David decided to try something new: meditation. At first, he felt awkward sitting quietly with his eyes closed, focusing on his breath. But with practice, he began to notice the difference. His mind felt clearer, his sleep improved, and he felt calmer. Lisa noticed too. You're more present lately, she said one evening. It's like you're not carrying the whole world on your shoulders anymore. David smiled. I think I'm finally learning to let go of some of that stress. The breakthrough. Months passed, and David stuck with his new lifestyle. He exercised regularly, ate healthier, managed his stress, and got better sleep. He even lost 15 pounds, which gave him more energy during the day. And then, one morning, something happened. He woke up and realized that morning wood had returned. It wasn't as strong or as frequent as in his 20s, but it was there. More importantly, it was a sign that his body was responding to the positive changes. David couldn't help but smile. He felt younger, stronger, and more alive. It wasn't just about the physical change, it was about reclaiming control over his health and well-being. Sharing the lesson. David's journey didn't end with himself. He began opening up to his friends, men who were also quietly struggling with similar issues. Over a round of golf one weekend, he finally said it out loud. Guys, I've got to tell you something. You know how they say things change as we get older? Well, I went through it too. And I realized it wasn't just about age, it was about lifestyle, stress, and health. I made some changes, and I feel better than I have in years. His friends listened, some nodding silently, others asking questions. It turned out they had all noticed changes in their own lives but never talked about it. David's openness gave them the courage to face it too. Conclusion. A message of hope. David's story is not unique. It's the story of countless men who notice changes as they age and wonder if they're alone. The truth is, morning wood may disappear with age, but it doesn't have to vanish completely. With attention to health, lifestyle, and self-care, it can improve. What David learned, and what every man should know, is that this isn't just about masculinity or aging. It's about listening to your body, respecting it, and giving it what it needs to thrive. Today, David continues his morning jogs, enjoys meals with Lisa, and even meditates before bed.